Hello from wherever you're watching us from, and welcome to My Child Show. Thank you so much for tuning in to our channel, for watching our show. Thank you for subscribing, for sharing, for commenting. Thank you for all your support. My Child Show is a show where we talk about our children. We talk about parenting. We share our joys, our sorrows, our fears, our experiences, everything, all about our children, and we get to learn from each other. We get to support each other. Karibu. Our sign language interpreter is Susan Vega. I am Abigail Ngare. This is episode 5 of My Child Show, and today we delve into a rather not so common conversation. For some, parenting begins when we give birth. To others, it begins from the day they know they are expecting a child. And where parenting ends, we never really want it to end, because for many parents, or most, we want to go before our children. We want to see them happy. We want them to live a happy life and do well, excel, and prosper in life. But the truth is, life happens. It is not always the case. Some go before us. As painful as it is, it happens. And we need to talk about it, because once you have a child, they never cease to be your child, no matter what. That is the conversation we are having today. Trigger warning: loss. Our guest today is Jessica Ombere. Jessica is a mom, a teacher, a wife, a happy woman. Today we get to know the story of her. Hi Jessica, how are you? Karibu sana Jessica.
I'm fine, Abby. Thank you for having me today.
Karibu sana, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Thank you for the courage to talk about it. Let's begin with your motherhood journey. I know you've been blessed to have 3 children, but let's begin from where it all began. What was your experience like from the first time you became a mom?
Okay, first we were so intentional about getting our child after the wedding. We had our first baby in 2016. And the journey was very smooth. With our first child, there was no hiccups. Actually, I remember the first time that she ever stepped in a hospital, apart from the clinics, it was after 3 years.
Wow.
She was never sick, not even cold. She was a very healthy baby.
Wow.
So when we felt we were very ready to have our second child, of course, we tried again, and within 2 weeks I tested and it was positive.
Wow.
We were very happy. That was 2.5 years later. Yeah.
That's really amazing. And this is where I want us to talk about the more your second child. From the point you tested and then it came out positive, your pregnancy journey, how did it go after that?
Yeah, so after testing positive, of course we were very excited, and then we started our antenatal clinics after 5 months. Yes.
Why 5?
Oh, because I thought I got it all with the first child. You know, with the first child you're always there. I mean, in the first month maybe you go for the clinics, but with the second child, it's like I know how the journey goes. So
how about the maybe if you needed something before, like supplements, did you have it all figured out?
Yes, although I didn't really think I needed it more at the onset.
Okay.
Because I knew from 5 months I'll just get them and maybe use them. So I didn't go for them earlier. But then after 5 months I started, I went for the folic acids. I took them, and then I went for the clinics up to the time I got the baby. There was no issue. I never vomited, not even once. I never felt sick. I never hated anyone or anything. It was just a smooth journey up to the day, that is 25th of June 2019, when I was actually at work. And I was feeling like the baby might come soon. And I remember I was telling a certain friend of mine, Lillian. She was a teacher in the next class. So I told her, you know what, I think the baby could be coming. She was shocked, surprised. She told me, maybe you should go home. And I told her, relax, I got this.
How far along were you?
So I left work at around 2. I had called my husband and told him, let's meet at home because the baby is coming.
Oh, and you were due?
It was the due date. Yes. Yes, the due date was to be 25th, and that was the 25th now. Yes. Yeah, so we went home, then packed and went to the hospital. And I reached the hospital at around 4. And by 4:20, I had my baby.
Wow. You know, this is what they call Hebrew birth. Like, there's no much pain. You just have your baby so smooth. And it's all smooth. The pregnancy was smooth. And now, delivery, 20 minutes.
Yes.
Ish. You are lucky. I
can say I'm lucky.
Okay.
I can say I'm lucky, kind of, because I didn't have the prolonged labor pains.
Yeah.
Yes, and just as I've told you, with my first child, it was smooth from the first day. I expected the same with my second child. Although now, when we reached home on the second day, she started crying at night. She could cry uncontrollably, and it didn't matter what we did. She could continuously cry. And at first, we thought it was colic. Of course, that is what every other parent expects. If the child cries, it is colic. So we knew it was colic. So we went got the colic drugs. That is Infacol. So we got them, and we gave her to the baby, but she never calmed down.
When you bought Infacol, was it prescribed to you, or you just took it over the counter?
We took it over the counter because I think it is what is expected. When a child cries, you know, you always know, kind of. The child will be crying because of colic. Then we went to a chemist, and when we described how the baby was reacting, they told us that is colic, just get the Infacol.
Okay.
So we get the Infacol. When we gave it to the baby, she never calmed down. So we thought maybe it is this Infacol that is not working. So we had to change the drugs again. But then they were never working. So second day, third day, the child was continuously crying until we bought now paracetamol. So we started giving it to her. But then after giving it to her, she will cry for maybe 2 to 3 hours, and then she will calm down and then sleep. So we thought maybe the colic drugs are not working, but maybe the paracetamol is easing the pain in her stomach. That is what we thought it was. And let me say, for the following weeks, we never slept. Most of the nights I would carry her on my lap and then maybe try to soothe her, and sometimes she will cry until I don't know what to do. So I'll just carry her and do nothing, and also cry along, you know, until maybe the dad will come, maybe dance with her, but she could continue crying until after maybe up to around 3. She could cry continuously from 11 p.m. all the way to 3 a.m. most of the nights.
The whole 4 hours.
Yeah. So we went with her to several hospitals just to ask what the problem was. But apparently in every hospital we went, we were told it was colic. Maybe just a different type of colic. So that is, we said maybe it's a way of maybe it's another colic that we don't know about. Because every time she will cry throughout the night. Sometimes she will cry throughout the night. So you're like, when it comes, when the morning comes, let's take her to the hospital. But then in the morning she's bright, laughing, smiling. So you get confused.
Yeah.
You don't know whether to take her to the hospital anyway, or just to maybe let her be.
She's fine.
Maybe she's fine. And I remember there's another show that I watched where another lady had her daughter, and the daughter was a singer. She could sing, and she said when the baby was young she could cry a lot. So that was maybe her way of expressing that. So I also thought maybe my girl is going to be a singer in the future. That is what she's trying to express as at now. Because
she's singing in cries.
In cry. Because she will cry and cry and cry. Yeah. So we went on. I remember when she was around almost 2 months, sometimes I noticed her eyes were yellowish. Then I would ask my husband, do you see that the baby's eyes are a little bit of yellow? And then he'll tell me, no, I think they are white. So I would ask my sister. I used to stay with my sister and my nieces. So I would ask them, do you think this baby's eyes are kind of yellowish? And then maybe one of them will say, yes, it's kind of yellow. Another one will say, no, it's white. So I will tell myself, let me wait until the following day. If it gets worse, then I go to the doctor. If it doesn't, if it improves, then maybe I'll know whether it was yellow or not. So maybe the following day, when you check again, you find that now they are white. So I told myself, okay, maybe I'm the one on the wrong. I think maybe I'm seeing
even
my own.
Confused.
Yes. So I let it go again. But then the cries never stopped for, let's say, the first 1 year, 2 years. Although it was not on a daily basis, maybe in different months, maybe September, she would cry maybe for 2-3 consecutive days. Then maybe skip another month, then the other month. So I couldn't record exactly when she was crying, but she was a cry baby. Let me say that. Yeah.
At what point did you get to seek another opinion or want to have an answer as to what this is? It's not just colic, the child is grown.
Yeah, so first she had grown past colic. Now that was almost 1 year and eating, but then the cries continued. Now there was a time that she really cried at night so much. So the dad started to inspect her, her body one by one, the back, the legs, the fingers. And then he noticed one of the fingers was swollen. So I asked the caregiver who was with her by that time. I told her, I think the child has fell down, but you didn't notice. But she said she didn't fall. She didn't hear, she didn't even see her falling. Neither did she hear her crying because of maybe a fall. So I just told her, just be careful with the baby. Maybe she hurt herself, but you didn't notice. Then maybe the following, after the 1 or 2 days, it went away. The second time, maybe after 2 months, it happened again. Now on the other side, the little finger on the other side of the hand now. So when I saw it again, I told her, now you have to be more careful with the baby, because the other time she fell, but you said she didn't fall.
Yeah.
Now she has fallen again, and you're here telling us she didn't fall. So kindly just take good care of her, and in case of anything, just tell me. If she fell, just tell me so that I might be able to know. But then she said she didn't fall. So again, I let it go. The third time, her feet swell. And on that particular day, there was a padlock, a huge padlock that we used for locking our doors, it was on the table. So I thought it is the padlock that had hit her. And I even told her, don't be leaving this padlock on the table because it might hurt the baby. Today it fell on her legs. You know, you don't know where it will fall next time. So kindly just be more careful. Then that one also passed. Now a few months later, now the baby was around almost 2.5 years. The other side of the feet swell again. Now that is when I said, this is not normal. So I went to Google. And when I went to the Google, of course, I started with the yellow eyes. But then previously, when I saw the yellow eyes, that is when she was around 1 or 2 months, I had Googled again. And then the first thing I met, I almost collapsed that day. It was saying when a child has yellow eyes, then probability of having kidney disease are high. So I was like, hey, this cannot be kidney. My child can't have kidney. So that is how I brushed it off when she was 2 months.
You just believed that it's not a kidney problem.
It's not a kidney problem, yes. But now this time, so I went to Google again. Swollen limbs, that is swollen fingers or and toes, yellow eyes, and crying a lot. So it gave another 2 options again. So the first one was liver disease, the second one was sickle cell. And I was like, it hit me so hard because I thought, I actually felt like I knew what it was now. I knew it was sickle cell. The only thing I needed to do was to go and maybe get her tested so that you can confirm whether it is or not.
How old was she at that point?
Now she was almost 2.5. Yes. So I told the dad, I think we need to go to the hospital so that they can test whether Mabel has sickle cell or not. And you know, at first she was like, the dad was like, why are you talking about sickle cell? Why do you think she could be having sickle cell? Maybe it is just any other thing, but not sickle cell. But I told him, no, let's go, let's test sickle cell. If it is not, then maybe they'll tell us, they'll give us a second opinion. So we went to Madari Referral Hospital and we did a test. It came out the following day. And they confirmed that there were traces of sickle cell. That is what they wrote, traces of sickle cell. But then they also wrote that they gave us a referral saying that she was, her blood count was too little. She needed an immediate blood transfusion. So we should take her to Kenyatta Hospital. So we went to Kenyatta on the same day. They told us, don't even go back home with this baby. Go to Kenyatta. And you know the way you freak out when such a thing, you've been told such a thing. So we rushed to Kenyatta. And the nurse, we found the nurse who wanted to start transfusing the blood immediately. But then I stopped her because I told her, you cannot use diagnosis from another hospital to treat a patient. What about you do your own diagnosis so that whatever you find, you treat according to your own findings.
Did you have doubts because you had been to hospitals before and they didn't find anything? Did you have doubts?
Yeah, I was hopeful that it's not it. That is why I really wanted them to have their own opinion. I didn't want to start treatment on the first diagnosis. So I wanted a different opinion. So I didn't want them also to brand her as having sickle cell already, yet they've not done anything, you know. So I wanted maybe a confirmation, a second opinion, that is. So they did their tests and it came back after 1 week. They took them to Lancet and then it came back after 1 week. They confirmed she had sickle cell. Yes. And so they gave us some dates where we could go for clinics at Kenyatta. But then Kenyatta was far, it was expensive, and it it was kind of cumbersome because when you go there, there's a long line. So we were referred to German doctors. Yes, there's a German doctors in Ombere that was a little bit closer to us, so we went there. Yes.
How did that start, the treatment and going there again and again? How was it for you, and even the acceptance for you and your husband?
Okay, for me, at first it was not, I can't say it was a relief, because it confirmed my worst fears, that is, but it was kind of better because now I knew what we were dealing with. You know, there are times you can't explain why she's crying, and you feel she's in pain. You see her, she's in pain, but you can't explain it. You go to different doctors, they tell you there's no disease. At one given time, they even diagnosed her with pneumonia. Yes, because they say, oh, it's causing the pain or something. So this one, at least I now knew how to deal with this. They were going to give me the right drugs so that we were going to live with it. Before then, I had only encountered 2 people with sickle cell. One was in Form 3 and another one was an adult. So I kind of knew my daughter will maybe grow up with it.
There's hope.
You know, there's hope. She'll become an adult and live with it, just live with it, kind of. So I wasn't so scared when I was going into it. And the good thing, in that hospital, they had a section that it's just secluded for patients with sickle cell. They even give you a red card. So when the child is in crisis is when they are in pain. The joints are painful, that is. So when you come with that red card, they automatically give you a leeway. So you won't make a line. You'll be seen kind of immediately with the doctor. And that doctor was a specialist in that area. So he took us through it. He told us, these children, the only thing you need to do is ensure they are always hydrated. So they are always drinking water. Just make sure they take their medicines daily. Yeah, there are some medicines, lots of them. Some you're supposed to take in the morning, others in the afternoon, in lunchtime, and others at night. And they were very bitter.
For how long?
For the rest of their lives. Yes. It is
Daily?
A medication daily. It's a daily, you take them on a daily basis for the rest of their lives. They kept on maybe changing, or rather adding, as they get older. So maybe I told, maybe after 5 years, they'll start using this one also on top of the other ones. Like that.
How was it for your baby at that point?
It was so hard. I think that was the hardest part of Mabel's journey. Giving her medicine was really hard, because Mabel was a child who loved herself so much. She didn't like taking bitter things. She didn't like her skin being poked with needles. So every day having to struggle to give her medicine, which are bitter, and then you have to give them to her, all of them, you know, they were like 4. You give this one, then this one, then this one. It was really hard for me. I remember you tried to negotiate. You know, drink this, then we will do this. Sometimes you can maybe negotiate for 2 days. The 3rd day, I'm not taking it. So sometimes you have to use force, like now you have to take this. Doesn't work. Sometimes you have to, like, it was hard. It was hard. Sometimes you even put it in the porridge. Now she won't take that porridge, you know. It was really hard giving her medicine. And I remember there are times when the dad was like, why don't you just let the baby be? Because now she has cried, she has vomited the ones maybe you've given the first 2. So you're remaining with maybe last 2. Or you've given the 3, you are remaining with the last one. She has cried, she has vomited even the ones you gave. So you don't know whether you give it again or you just let her be. So it was really hard. Clinics, when you go.
Are you saying you were giving her 4 tablets in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, like that?
You find, like in the morning, you are giving her 2. Lunch, it was 1. and at night there were 3. Yes.
So that's 6 in a day.
Yes. So you find sometimes, let's say at night you've given the first one, the second one, you're in the third one, then she vomits everything else. Yes. Sometimes when you want to give medicine, she'll pretend she's sleeping, or you'll walk around, run around. It used to take us like 1 hour just to make sure all the medicines have been given to her. And I remember I used to tell my sister, I can't wait for that time when Mabel is a little bit older, so that she understands why she's taking this medicine. So then we don't have to fight over them. She'll just take them, you know. Yeah.
Because she'll understand that she needs them.
She needs them. The good thing with water, she had kind of understood, because every time whenever she was playing, she had a bottle. So she could sip, play again, sip the bottle of water. I mean, her water from the bottle. Yeah.
At that point, was she talking, and what was she telling about it?
Yes. At that point, she was talking, and she kept on telling me, staki dawa. Mama, mi staki dawa leo. Or sometimes she would come, Mami, leo sinipe dawa, sawa. You know, it was so painful, because sometimes she starts negotiating. Usinipe dawa, alafu nitakula vizuri, you know. And it breaks your heart when you tell her, lazima ukunywe dawa because of this, you know. But she doesn't understand you. Why should I be taking that medicine? Yes.
Aside from that, did she have any other health issues since she was born up to now, the time you started the sickle cell anemia treatment?
Not really. Apart from the fact that she was crying, she never had any other issues. Okay, she was a very light child, light-skinned, yeah. And then we also struggled with weight a little bit. She was never gaining the weight the way we are expected. Or rather, you see, my first child, Hazel, was a big-bodied one, and her appetite was always top-notch. So we never struggled with appetite, we never struggled with weight. She was always there. Every time we go for her clinics, she had added 1 kg, 1 kg, 1 kg, throughout until she was 1 year old, you know. So I kind of expected with Mabel. But then Mabel was not someone who liked eating. You will force her with medicine, force her with the food, she wouldn't take the food. So she started growing kind of thin.
I think that's where you got to understand that indeed every child is different in every way.
Every child is different. Every child is different. So, you know, you have a reference. You expect her to be like Hazel, you know. Hazel kept on adding 1 kg. So you go to the clinic very hopeful, but then you get she has added maybe 100 grams, 200 grams. So you are maybe at 8 kilograms for 3 or 4 months. You're at 8 kgs, 8.1, 8.3, 8.6, you know. Yeah, but then apart from that, she never had any other condition. Apart from that, just the sickle cell, which we thought we had managed, because most of the children at the hospital, you could see in their eyes now, this child is sickling. But for her, apart from her just being a little underweight, she was lively, jovial, and her face never showed any signs of sickness. So those who didn't know wouldn't tell that she was sick. Yes. Yeah. So we went on until now when she was around 2, almost 3 years, my mom became sick. When my mom became sick, she was diagnosed with cancer, and she had to come for surgery here in Nairobi. So, unluckily, my mom never picked from the surgery. So it was taking a toll on us because we had to be there with her throughout. So during this time, Mabel was also okay. She never had any issues with that time. She kept on, she was continuing with her drugs as usual. Now, when my mom's health deteriorated, she had to go to be transferred to Kisumu in another hospital. So we had to go with Mabel and her sister. We went. So I don't know whether it is the weather that changed on her when we came back, because she had stayed over the time that my mom got to us and the time that she died. Because when we came back after my mom's burial, my mom, after the burial, we came back on a Wednesday. Then we went on the same Sunday, we went to church. And it was my mom's Thanksgiving service, yeah? So we did the Thanksgiving, and then we went back to our seat. Then immediately went back, Mabel told me, Mom, I need some water. So I hadn't carried water that day. So I went to the church kitchen, I borrowed some water, and then we went back. Then immediately, just before we settled down, she tells me, Mom, I want to go to the washroom. So, you know, by that time, you of course, when you're in the church and then, you know, people are sitting down. So you've just passed, you went for the water, then you want to pass again. So you're like, I asked her, are you sure you want to go to the washroom? And then she started saying urgently, yes, I want to go to the washroom. So I started taking her out. But then before we reached out, she started vomiting. She vomited and vomited. So in our church, there's a first, the first floor where people sit. Then you have the kitchen in the middle, and then you have another floor where people sit. So I was sitting on the uppermost part. So when I ran out with her, and she was still vomiting violently, I ran into the kitchen, so that at least maybe I can get something like a basin or something. But I just ran inside there. So when we were inside there, she vomited, and she started to diarrhea also. So some ushers who were cleaning the vomits up on the stairs had also followed me. So Mabel kept vomiting and vomiting and vomiting. And then now she started diarrheaing also. So she could vomit, and the ushers were wiping. She was vomiting, the ushers were wiping. She was diarrheaing, and now, so she squatted. And it was just flowing there, and the ushers now were there with the mops, just mopping. May God bless those ushers, because I don't know. As for me, I was so shocked. I just stood there motionless.
Had it ever happened before?
It had never happened. It had never happened like that. So she vomited and vomited. And so one of the ladies in church actually started giving her water, because now she was so weak, she was sitting down at the church. So she started giving her water. For her, she's taking the water, vomiting, taking the water, vomiting, diarrheaing. And I called the dad. I told the ushers, kindly call the dad. So we were standing there motionlessly. We didn't know what to do. So I told one of the ushers, kindly go get for me a pamper from one of my friends, Miriam. She had a baby. So I helped her to put on the pamper. Then we went to the hospital. There was a hospital just next to the church. So we went there. And they did some tests. So they said there was no malaria. I told them just to test for malaria, because we had been at home. Yes. So they tested malaria. There was nothing. But
so you suspected she could have picked malaria when you traveled up country?
Yes. And a child with sickle cell, malaria is like a death sentence to her or him. So malaria is one thing that is usually seriously fought when you have a child with sickle cell. So they did other tests, but they didn't find anything. So they were telling us the white blood cells are a lot, they have increased. So it means they are fighting something, an infection, but then they can't tell whichever infection it is, they don't know. So they gave us antibiotics and painkillers, and then they discharged us. So we went home. During that week, the whole of that week, she was on and off with the fever, but then she got better. For then the following week, now I'm the one who was sick. Now that was the second week after my mom's burial. So after the second week, I'm the one who was sick. I was so sick. But then I went to the hospital, I got treated and came back. So the third week again, now Mabel gets sick again. She started with a little bit of vomit, but with the fevers. So when we went back to the German doctors now, actually that is the first time she had IV. They were giving her some water, that is IV. That was the first time she had it. So they treated her and discharged us, because for them they don't admit. If you are to be admitted, it's just during the day, because they don't work at night. So we could go maybe. We went on Tuesday again and Wednesday. Then on Thursday, we didn't go because now Mabel was better. She was kind of okay, yeah? We stayed at home and I thought she was okay. So Friday, that week, children had done their assessments, and throughout that week I had the papers. So I decided, let me just rush to the school, take these papers, and maybe come back. So I took the papers to school, then I came back. By the time I came back, I saw it was already around 2. So I thought, I saw her and she was kind of pale. And she acted like she wanted to vomit, but then she was not vomiting. But then there's that mother's instincts. So I just told the dad immediately. I called the dad and told him, I don't think this child is okay, so I'm taking her to the hospital. But before that, I called the doctor who used to attend her at German doctor's hospital. And he told me, for us, I don't think it will be okay for you to come here because you're closing at 6, yeah? And I would have told you to go to Kenyatta. But then I don't think you might find maybe a long line that you really have to wait. And the same to Mama Lucy. So I'm going to send you to a particular hospital. So you go there and then you'll tell me whatever happens. So I prepare her, then we go to the hospital that we had been referred to. But then on reaching there, they tried to get the blood sample so that maybe they can test, run a test. But then the blood was not coming out. Yes. I think she had run out of blood. I think so. That is what I thought so. And it really took us time for them to get even a little blood. So they put her on IV again. Yes. So throughout the night, she was on IV. But then they had told us that we should get people to go and donate blood at Kenyatta. So the only place where I thought I knew I could get help was in the church wall. Because I knew maybe my friends from church, they will never let me down when I need such a thing. So I put on the church wall that kindly, if there's anyone who can donate blood to my daughter, kindly come to the hospital very early in the morning. So that was now at night after she had been admitted, and I saw her. She was getting weaker and weaker. So I remember I even told the doctor, I think this girl needs blood because she seems to be getting weaker. Although she was talking, I remember she was telling me, "Bina, relax, mommy." Yeah, there's a time when she wanted to vomit. She wanted to vomit almost throughout the night, and I was giving her a basin. There was a basin which was there, so I gave her the basin, and she was like, "Wacha ni relax sasa." Mabel, nikubebe? And she said, "No, niweke tu chini mimi na relax. So throughout the night she kept on saying that.
How old was she at that time?
So she was almost 3. She was 1 week, 2 weeks shy of being 3 years to her birthday. Yeah. So I panicked, of course. That was around 3 a.m. So I called the dad and told her, I think this child needs urgent blood transfusion. So maybe if you can come very early in the morning, and we can get people to donate blood. That is the time that I wrote on the church wall that if anyone is willing, let them come and help me. Just help her to get blood. So nothing much happened during that time until around 6. The dad came with the brother
In the morning, no?
that at around 5:30. They were at the hospital at around 5:30 because during the night she had kept on asking, oh, mom, twende kwa dadi, twende kwa dadi, nataka dadi, twende nini. So they came very early in the morning with the brother. So the brother alikuwa amekuja kumuona, then aende donate blood. Meanwhile, after having written on the church wall, most of people had woken up already, and they were somewhere on the way coming to church. Yeah. So I told the father, because we had left all her previous documents from other hospitals. I had left them in the house. So I told him, you just rush for them, we might need them. To me, I thought maybe we will be transferred maybe to another hospital where they might need them. So it is just good for me to have them, you know. Yes, I told him, you just run home, go bring them. Meanwhile, your brother can rush to Kenyatta to get the blood, you know, because the hospital told me they didn't have that blood type at that time. Okay. That's why we needed to donate, you know. So when they had left, it was not even 5 minutes after they left, actually around 2 minutes. I saw that the child was kind of convulsing. She had her eyes fixed at one given point. And remember, this was just 3 weeks after my mom. And when my mom was dying, I'm the one who was there with her. So I saw the look in her eye, and kind of I saw it in my daughter. And I was scared. I didn't want to look at it again because I still had the memories from the last moments of my mom. And I kind of didn't want the same to stick with my daughter. So when I looked away, the doctors were there, and then they carried her to a certain room where they were trying to resuscitate her. They had oxygen, and I didn't want to look at her eyes. So I was holding the feet, and I remember I was praying to God. I was telling God, usinifanyie hivyo tena. God, usinifanyie hivyo tena. So when she started like convulsing, I had called another friend, Lillian. Yeah, Lillian had been my prayer partner, and when I got admitted the previous night, I told her. So
it's okay, take your time.
So she had told me she will be there the following morning. So I called her again, and she told me, I'm coming. And within 3 minutes, she was in the hospital. So I had called my sister and my dad. And also remember when I called my sister. So I was telling her, Mabel is seriously sick. And she even started praying on the phone, violently, praying. So I hung up, called my dad, told her, Mabel is seriously sick. Then I called Lillian, because now Lillian stays around there. So Lillian had also come. So she was also praying on the corridors, praying, going out, praying, and I was also praying, going out, and the dad had also come back with the
documents.
So I was looking for, I don't know, it was something with maybe the blood type. So I kept telling the doctors, to transfer, let's take her maybe to another hospital or what, you know. But then for them, they are trying to resuscitate, they're putting the oxygen, they're doing everything, you know. So when I came back, I didn't find even that document. So I said, let me just leave the document, maybe you can, let me see what you can do. But then when I came back into the room, I found that the doctors were not doing anything. All of them were standing around her and maybe holding, some were holding themselves, you know. And so I asked the one whom we were with, is my baby okay? And he said, no, we have lost her. And, you know, since the time I found out that she had sickle cell, I had fasted for so many days. I remember the times I even went for 3 days.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
The times I went for 3 days fasting, with hope that I was hoping for a miracle, that maybe she will get healed. You know, her name was Imani, faith. So I kept telling God, I'm not losing faith. Yeah, I have a strong faith that she will be okay. So many times I had even gone to maybe to a prayer mountain just to pray for her specifically, that she will get better. Yeah. So this one hit me so hard. And I remember, you know, after having sent it on the church wall, I remember my friend also sent on the same wall, if there's anybody around, kindly just come. So there were more than 30 of them, 30 of the church members there, and friends and relatives whom my sisters had called. So we were there, all of us. And one of the church members told me, Jesus usijali, God has a plan for you. And by that time I asked, is this the kind of plan? What kind of plan is this, you know? Because at that time I didn't understand. I was like, this is too much for now, you know? Yeah, so we prepared and then we took her to the mortuary. And I remember when they just covered her with a certain, I think, body bag or something. So they covered her, and when they were passing, I remember I told them, please, usimfunike hivyo. Maybe, I was hoping maybe she will wake up, you know. So I was telling them, no, msimfunike hivyo, the way, you know, they cover the body. I think it was a white bedsheet. Kaambia pana, msimfunike hivyo kwanza. Hebu mwachilieni, so that maybe you never know. But then, yeah, reality dawned. We had to go to the mortuary, and then we came back.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for the courage to share the story of Mabel, and we are really, really sorry for your loss. It is never easy, and talking about it, we really do appreciate. And I'd like to ask you if you would like to take us through the grief journey. How was it like for you? This is a huge loss. How did you cope?
Yeah, okay. First, I really cried. Sometimes I do cry even maybe sometimes when I say the story. But that day I cried. I really cried because it really hit hard. And then, so when we came back to the house, I remember my daughter, Hazel, she knew we were at the hospital. So when she saw the huge group coming, at first she was excited that at least we have visitors. And then when she saw me without Mabel, she was like, "Mommy, kwani Mabel ako?" And now, that is when it dawned. And then my neighbor took her away. But later on, my sister explained to her that Mabel ameenda binguni, just like Shosho alienda binguni. So, hatarudi tena. So for me, I cried, and then I kept on telling, there were different groups that were coming. So if each group, I told them the story. I told them how it had all begun, how it ended, everything, And I realized each time maybe I was telling it, I could reach at a point maybe. The first time I was telling the story, maybe I couldn't tell it actually for the first day. By the second day, I could tell it maybe halfway. The third day, so as it went on, I kept on telling the story, I felt that it was relieving to me. Yeah, so that is how I coped with it. And then I have videos. I have photos of the day she was born. When she's crying, when she's eating, she's sitting, first step, first laugh, first smile. I'm a photogenic person. Even with my current baby, I have first smile, first laugh, first walk, everything I have it, So those photos, I started watching them. At first, immediately, maybe after, let's say after 1 month, it was hard for me to play them. But then after sometimes now I started playing them, watching them, talking about her. Then that at least it helped me kind of heal.
How about your other daughter? Because I had seen you posting pictures, beautiful family, they are matching, 2 beautiful girls. How was it like for her feeling now there's a gap?
It was hard for her. I remember our first supper after the burial, when we came back to Nairobi. It was the worst supper we've ever had, because you find food was put there, and we were used to all of us sitting around the table with her. But now there was a chair which was empty. So everybody tries to eat, but then no one is eating, because there's a lump of, let's say, emotions just stuck on your neck. So we were quiet throughout that session. I personally didn't finish eating. I went to the bedroom. So the others, everybody went to the bedroom, and we just slept. So my daughter, at first, immediately she received the news, there were so many people around. So I think it hadn't hit her.
And how old was she?
She was 7 by then. So until we were now alone. So she realizes now my other sister is not there. And I remember there is a doll, a big doll. She named her It Mabel. Up to date, she calls it Mabel. Now, this doll, at times you'll find her cuddling it, maybe giving it food. And there's a day now I found her, she had made a swing for that doll. So she was swinging the doll, calling her Mabel, and she was crying. Tears were rolling over her eyes, or her cheeks, and I cried that day. I really felt so bad. And all the time, maybe when a friend of hers would come to the house and then they were leaving, she will run to me and tell me, "Mommy, I don't have anyone else to play with. What can I do?" So sometimes I used to tell her, "Come play with me, or maybe let's play something." So I will look for something, anything that will distract her. But then she kept on talking about the sister.
She missed her.
She missed her. And I remember she even started praying that God, I know, you know, Mabel is in heaven, I know she's with you, but please God, give me, at first she said brother or sister, who will be with me forever. And that word forever was also kind of disturbing to me, because I was like, okay, so you know, this one was not here with you forever, so you want one who will be with you for forever. Even if I taught her another prayer, she kept on praying that. And maybe later she changed now, God give me a brother who will be with me forever. And we will be best friends, like that. So I also kind of started praying, God, answer her prayer then. You know.
How about their dad? How was his grief journey?
Yeah, for the dad, you know, they were very close with Mabel, because as for me, I go to work very early in the morning at around 6:30. He goes to work at around 9. So every day, when we had gone, when Mabel woke up, she would go to our bed, you know, and then they will tell stories with the dad until the time when he was leaving. So they were very close. So when she died, you know, the bed was there, the clothes were there, everything was just there. It was really hard for him. So every morning he wakes up, the bed is there, but the child is not coming to him. So for him, he avoided talking about it. He avoided watching the videos. And if maybe, you know, the way your phone reminds you, last year such a time, then the photos come. So if it reminds him and then he watches any of those videos or any of those photos, he will go quiet the whole day. He will not talk, he will just go quiet the whole day. Or even if you watch a video, he wouldn't talk about it. Then it will affect him now. The whole day now he can't even do anything. He goes to office, just sits in the office and then does nothing, you know. Until, you know, as for me, I talked a lot. I told anybody who wanted to listen. Anybody who had ears to listen, I told them the story. And it kind of helped me to grieve or to heal. And so I started getting intentional about watching the videos. I started watching the videos maybe in his presence, so he could hear the voice, and until he started kind of getting used to it. And he also started watching the videos now. But at first, he was always quiet about it.
Some people, when they go through loss, especially of a person they dearly loved, like a child, they want to give away their belongings, their clothes, so that they may not be reminded of them every so often, maybe to ease the pain. Like, everyone grieves differently. Did it happen to you?
Yeah, at first it was very hard for me, because I didn't want it to come out as I didn't want to lose touch with her. So, but then I knew I had to move on, because I couldn't keep on keeping the clothes there, you know. So after around six months, that is on the 7th month, I decided to give out all the clothes. So I gave out all the clothes, but of course I kept one of her favorites just to see. But then it was still hard, because, you know, I like twinning. I liked twinning my girls. So you find like basically half of my other child's clothes are a twin to this other one. So every time she wants to put on, or I dress my other daughter, it's a cloth that looks like the one I gave out. So the reminder was still there. So I disposed most of the things. I didn't dispose, I actually gave them out, the shoes, the clothes, the beddings, but the bed I just saved for the next child.
All right. We're really sorry for the loss of Mabel. And now I understand you also have another child. Tell us about it. And was it a thought that came to you when you were grieving? Did you want to maybe fill that gap? How was it like?
Okay, first of all, when we lost Mabel, there was a big gap. A gap that was actually, it affected Hazel more after we came back. And I really felt the urgency of us having another baby that Hazel can relate to. So even her prayer, God give me another brother, it was because most of the holidays we used to take her to her cousins, just so that she feels she has somebody. But then sometimes she could even comment, nani ako na sister yake, aki mimi pia nitapata sister yangu, ama mimi pia nitapata brother yangu. So there was that need for me to give, for us to give her someone else, you know, like another sibling. Yeah. At the same time, we also wanted to fill that void, you know, that when there's another baby, all of you become so occupied that you don't, of course you won't forget, but you kind of temporarily you get consoled with this other one. Yeah, so we were very intentional. Although I had wanted to get the baby maybe before Mabel had died, but then the father was like, wait, oh, you know, Mabel is still young and she needs your attention, you know, and she's a sickling. So I said, okay, let me wait a little bit. But then when she passed on, I had wanted to us to conceive another baby immediately. So first month, we waited. Second month, third month, and the fourth month, we were like, what if it doesn't come? But then we thank God it came. And at least it is after I told Hazel that we are expecting another baby. That is when she stopped now praying for the other prayer that she used to pray. Yes.
Her prayer was being answered.
Yes.
And how is she with the baby brother now?
They are so good. They bonded right from, you know, she goes to the school where I teach. So every time she will meet me along the corridors, I don't teach her class, but then she was run to me like, we had a name. By the 5th month, of course, again I went and checked and I knew it was a baby boy. So we had a name, of course, that rhymes with her name now, Aziel. So every time she will come, hi Aziel, how are you? Good morning. That was in the we were in the school, maybe at lunchtime. Sometimes she would ask me, Mom, is it evening or afternoon? I tell her it is evening. Hi Aziel, good evening. Bye, I'm going to my class.
Like she was talking to her brother before she was before he was born.
Yes.
Wow.
So even right now they have bonded so much. It's like it has filled the space that Mabel left.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now would you say that you have healed from the loss? Are you still grieving? Is it the same? How are you now?
I've not completely healed because I think it is something that goes on like forever, because sometimes even when I'm in a car or even in the vehicle, sometimes I can just think about some memories and then I find myself crying without knowing, you know. So I don't think it is something that it is kind of, I'm getting used to her absence more than I've completely healed. And usually I also every time
said it's getting used to her absence.
Yes.
Not really healing.
Not really healing. It is you getting used to her absence and how to deal with her absence, you know. Yeah. If she were here, she would have done that. Sometimes we even say, Mabel angesema hivi. Even right now we usually say, Mabel angesema Hazel, wachana na brother yangu, you know, like that. So we imitate the way she talks. But then every time when I hear something has happened to another child, it hits me like it's my own child, you know. It kind of brings memories. Usually, even let's say in TikTok, when I'm watching something, then I see something has happened to another child. It hits me differently, the way it didn't used to hit me before I lost her, you know. So I think it is still there. It's only I'm learning how to manage it, you know.
Do you have episodes of where you feel like maybe something went wrong because I didn't do something like that?
Yeah. At first, it really disturbed me, especially the fact that I went to school on that Friday. Even if it was just for a few hours, just went to drop the papers and came back. To date, I usually feel like I shouldn't have gone that day. Perhaps I would have seen her getting worse. Maybe I would have noticed, because you know, when I went, I thought she was okay. She looked okay. By the time I was coming back, she looked pale. So maybe I would have noticed her getting pale. Maybe I would have taken her to the hospital, and then she would have gotten the blood transfusion very fast. Sometimes I usually feel when the blood couldn't come out, maybe I would have made noise and maybe blood would have come. You know, when you just make noise, I don't know, things happen or something. Or maybe I would have told them, transfer me immediately. Or I would have just picked and then went to another hospital which have the blood ready, you know. So it is a thought that it really disturbed me for quite some time, until I started to kind of intentionally put it down, because the more I think about it, the more it hurts me. So sometimes I feel like I could have done better, you know. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing your story. We cannot tell you that we understand how you feel. We just say we're sorry, and we pray that may God continue giving you strength in this grief journey and bless your family. You have a wonderful family. May blessings follow you. Thank you so much. And to better understand about grief and also about sickle cell anemia, because we also want to create awareness, we'll talk to a doctor who will help us understand more about sickle cell anemia, so that we help another child out there, another person out there who may not be well informed. Maybe the child has the symptoms like the one Mabel, Jessica's child, had, and she doesn't know, or he doesn't know what's going on, and maybe they need to do something about it. So we'll talk to a doctor to help us create more awareness on sickle cell anemia. Also on grief, we'll talk to a counseling psychologist to help us understand grief, how people grieve differently, what to do, what to say to people who are grieving, because many times we really don't know what to say to people who are grieving. We don't even know what we are telling them, whether it will help them, whether it will hurt them. And it's good to know, so that we know how to better handle each other, and we be kind to each other, we support each other. This has been episode 5 of My Child Show. You can watch out for episode 5B and 5C, talking about sickle cell anemia and also grief, as per the case of Jessica Ombere, who lost her child, Mabel Chris Imani, to sickle cell anemia. Thank you so much for watching this episode of My Child Show. If you're out there and you'd like to share the story of your child, feel free to reach to us. You can leave us a comment, or you can reach out to us through our number 0712562415, and we shall surely give you a platform to talk about your child. Sometimes it really helps to let it out, and we're here to listen, because you matter and we care. Our sign language interpreter is Susan Dega. I am Abigail Ngari. God bless you.